All right. I would like to call to order the June meeting of the Mount Hood Community College Board of Education. I declare a quorum for tonight's regular session with the following directors present: Diane Noriega,
Here.
Shatoya Bentley,
Here.
Will Miller,
Here.
Timur Ender, Larry Morgan,
Here.
Mohammed Aljari,
Here.
and Andrew Spear. I'm here. Approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next, we'll move to public input. For persons wishing to provide public comments who are attending in person, please sign up by completing the sign-in sheet with your name, the name of the organization or group represented, if any, and a statement noting the agenda item or topic to be addressed to the board. The sign-in sheets are located on the table at the entrance to the meeting. For persons wishing to provide public comments via Zoom, we ask that you sign up by using the hand raise feature in Zoom. It's available at the bottom of your Zoom screen. When you are called to provide comments, please clearly state your full name, the name of the organization or group represented, if any, and the agenda item or topic you wish to address for the board for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes per person. Per board policy, the board has allotted 30 minutes for public input. As a reminder, the board will hear comments or objective criticisms of college operations and programs, but comments about individual college personnel should be directed to the board chair or president outside of this meeting. We will now hear public comment at this time. Roxanne, are there any sign-in sheets?
Grant Burgess and Colette Bruce.
And please go ahead when whomever is ready first.
Good evening, board. Thank you for the time to speak today. My name is Corey Houston. I'm the Classified Association president. This isn't about me. This is about the apparent beeping, but also about what I just heard. And I want to point out what you just heard. But I'm going to talk about a valued colleague that I once worked with named Larry Gillis, Lawrence Gillius. When I first started here, one of the positions I was lucky enough to have was working at the Tutoring Center. It's now the Learning Success Center. And I worked at the Learning Success Center for many years with Larry. I had the privilege of actually having his daughter come work for me in the lab. And the best news is after a successful many-decade career, he retired this year. His is one of the positions that this budget cuts. His position is the writing coordinator at the Learning Success Center. The very thing that we just heard a few minutes ago that has no cuts coming to it. Whether by omission or commission, a lie is a lie is a lie. And you'll find many statements about this budget, and it makes for a great story. like the story we say when we send students to a place with no staff that they're going to get helped, like the story that we tell ourselves that when we reduce staff that actually have the knowledge to do the things we want to do, we're going to be better serving students. One of my favorite statements is, don't tell me what you care about. Show me your budget. I will tell you what you care about. This budget has a lot of interesting stories, and many of these men and women have reached out to you to try and point out and highlight where those stories are falling down. But I'll grant a little bit of grace. I refuse to attribute to malice what simple incompetence provides. I ask that you listen to my colleagues, and when they highlight fundamental flaws, please, please consider amending this budget and protecting these positions. We have a better story to tell, and it happens with them.
Whoever's ready can go next.
Hey, I'm a nervous speaker, so I'm just going to put that out there. I also want to, before I do anything else, say thank you to my husband who is spending our 31st wedding anniversary here to support. Hello, board members. Can you guys hear me? Sorry. Hello, members of the board. As the Student Success Specialist for Veterans at MHCC and a lifelong local resident, saw Jimmy Carter here as a child, I urge you to amend the proposed budget. I ask that you halt the proposed employee cuts for 6 months to a year using emergency funds and direct the administration to collaborate with managers, which did not happen, and staff before making final decisions. As elected officials, overseeing this process is your duty. Staff and faculty have proposed alternatives like furloughs and temporary pay cuts, yet these ideas were ignored. Decisions of this magnitude shouldn't be made in isolation. Doing so has broken morale and will directly harm student retention. The students are definitely seeing it. They're coming and telling me. This is the best job I've ever had because I work with the best students. But whether it is me or someone else in this role, specialized veteran support is vital. Many of our students have combat experience. Their life path has been fundamentally different. While others their age were learning to budget and live independently, they were trained to keep us safe. As one of my student veterans beautifully put it, it's like growing up twice, once in the military and a second time as a civilian. We owe them the dedicated resources to navigate that second transition. I also must correct the record regarding statements made by Dr. Redd at the April 29th Budget Committee meeting. While I began part-time under a state grant in 2021, I was hired full-time in February 2022 under a federal Centers of Excellence grant. These federal funds are meant to be seed money to build a permanent, full-service department for veterans and their dependents. Furthermore, the claim that we only serve 120 students a year is factually incorrect. We typically certify 100 students per term. That number does not include the students who have exhausted their formal education benefits, but still rely on our Center for Transitional Support and for advising and finding resources, or the local veterans we connect to services as a community resource. The Goodwill acts as a direct recruitment tool for MHCC. In my time with the department, student veteran enrollment has increased 380%. Cutting this role eliminates specialized services for the men and women who stepped up to serve our country. I ask you, look closely at the data, amend this budget, ask questions, visit the departments, talk to the students, and do the work the community expects of you. Thank you for your time.
Please go ahead when you're ready.
Is it on?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Dr. Grant Burgess. I started my college career right here about 18 years ago. And because of this college and the tireless work of the staff and educators here, I was able to go on to get a full scholarship at Reed College, and I was accepted into a fully funded PhD program. I come from a very working class family. I'm a first generation college student, and I was an employee here for years. This college gave me my start, and it means more to me than I can express. And I was born here in Gresham. I'm a voter here. I'm the founder of a nonprofit school in downtown Gresham. I was an instructor and a learning specialist here at MHCC, and I am deeply concerned about the future of Avid Transiciones in this college. We citizens of East County have the ability to vote for the best interests of our community. MHCC staff, faculty, and friends of the college have the ability to sit here and air our grievances, but you have the power to effect change and defend what is best about our college. Only you have the power to carefully consider every solution and do what's right. That's your job. So I feel like I need to remind you that this college's equity statement says that we hold ourselves accountable to align our systems, policies, practices, and resource allocations to strategically and purposefully advance equity. We recognize the harm done to historically excluded people. We seek to provide every person within our communities the tools to be successful. We actively design equitable systems to promote fairness and justice. And having worked in Avid for 6 years, I can tell you that every word of this equity statement is fulfilled and honored by the programs that we stand to lose here. In my 6 years in Avid, we worked with refugees, veterans, people with learning disabilities, DACA recipients, people just out of prison looking for a better life. We helped people overcome housing insecurity while trying to get their nursing degrees. We made sure people were fed. We connected non-native English speakers with the people who could help them be successful. We sat with members of our community who felt disenfranchised, who were terrified that they would be deported, who were always told they weren't good enough, who were enduring abuse, and we saw them absolutely flourish. We saw them step into lives that they could only have dreamed of. MHCC gave that to them. Avid Transiciones gave that to them. So if you truly believe in this college's equity statement, if it isn't just pretty words on a website to you, then you must recognize that these programs are absolutely aligned with equity at MHCC. None of work here anymore. And not everyone here gets a paycheck with a signature on it from MHCC. We're here because we believe in this community, in its people, and the college that has sworn to provide an opportunity to each and every one, because that's what a community college does. It cares for its community. And no programs on this campus operationalize that care more than the ones you propose to cut. And I know that the people of East County are watching you, and I know that you'll make the right decision. Thank you.
Please go ahead when you're ready.
That's hard to follow. Hi, my name is Colette Cruz Fiesler. I'm a faculty counselor entering my 4th year in the tenure process. I hope you recognize my name and understand my background and role from the emails I've been sending you directly. As elected officials, your constituents, family, friends, neighbors, and community deserve that you fight for a budget that has completed its due diligence and which reflects the genuine needs of its stakeholders. That's not what you have in front of you. Give us time to get through this together with amendments so that we can keep integral student success services and programming. In my role as a mental health counselor and instructor, I see students both in and out of the classroom settings. I have direct experience with the competing and overwhelming pressures our students face inside and out of their academics. I understand how difficult it is for them to manage it all. I sit with students as they question whether they belong here and decide whether they will return to MHCC for the next term or not. Our students work hard. Every day, they're fighting against systems meant to oppress them. They have families, disabilities, chronic illnesses, jobs, sometimes multiple, and so much more. They face barrier after barrier, and they need more support, not less. What many of these students have in common is that they need scaffolding and coaching to develop college-level academic success skills, self-efficacy and self-advocacy skills, and to understand their student rights, what that means, and how to take action. That's what our Avid, Learning Success Center, TRIO, Veteran Services, and Transiciones programs provide. They are safe havens that students flock to and, no joke, live within until graduation because higher education is opaque and difficult to navigate. In my role as a career counselor, I help with the biannual job fair. It gives me the opportunity to empower students and community members by coaching them on what to do at what is often their first exposure to career fairs. I felt devastated this spring when a student approached me stating that their time at MHCC has been wasted because many of the employers present need applicants to have machine tool training, but that our program is being discontinued. This shows the lack of diligence in ascertaining stakeholder voices and needs in this budget proposal. Approving the budget as it is will ensure that our students and community suffer. We will be less desirable for educating and training your constituents. We will be less competitive for partnerships with employers like Boeing. Our retention rates will decrease, and we will be facing an even more dire budget next year. I hope what you understand from my comment is that you do not have to cut student services today and that you can amend this budget. You have the ability to do so and dip into the reserves for a period of time without disrupting the integral student services. And I plead with you to consider what you want your legacy to be with our students and community. Thanks.
Thank you. So we'll just receive his written one.
So, yes, Susan Alex, and Sarah.
And as soon as you're ready, please go ahead.
Hello, board members. My name is Natalie Kenville. I'm a learning specialist in the Avid Center and vice president of the Part-Time Faculty and Tutors Association. I've spoken at the last 3 board meetings because I care deeply about this college, my colleagues, and my students. I will speak at as many board meetings I will speak at as many board meetings as it takes to fight for all of them. As President Barack Obama said, a budget is more than just a series of numbers on a page. It is an embodiment of our values. Tonight, you will decide what values MHCC embodies in our budget. Our mission statement commits us to inclusion, yet the current budget places the greatest burden on lower-level staff and programs serving our most vulnerable students. While leadership positions remain largely intact and college leadership is receiving a 5% pay increase this upcoming year, 15 lower-level positions and critical student support programs are being eliminated or significantly reduced, including AVID, Transitions, Transiciones, and Veteran Services. College leadership has described these decisions as equitable, but equity is not asking those with the least power to make the greatest sacrifices. When cuts fall disproportionately on frontline staff and programs supporting students with disabilities, students of color, veterans, and other marginalized students, the result is exclusion, not inclusion. Most importantly, alternatives exist. According to the budget on page 37, our reserve funds are increasing by over $4.2 million next year. Retaining the AVID program, as you know, would cost approximately $213,000, less than 5% of that increase. Similarly, college support services is projected to increase by more than $3.5 million. Allocating $213,000 from either fund increase would preserve AVID while still allowing millions of dollars in growth of both of these budgets. Preserving Transiciones, Transitions, and Heather's core veteran services position would also require a very small portion of these large fund increases. As board members, you have the power to amend this budget and protect the programs our most vulnerable students depend on. Please practice the values we preach and ensure that MHCC's budget embodies true inclusion of everyone, not just those with the most power. Thank you.
Whoever's ready next can go, please.
Hi, my name is Tia Clay. I am the TRIO program assistant for both our TRIO SSS programs that serve first generation college students here on campus, helping them transfer to four-year universities, as well as our TRIO ETS program that works in our district schools in, Centennial, David Douglas, Gresham, and we help prepare them for applying in the processes that go along with college, because as a first generation student, you don't innately know how to navigate those things. I am one half of the college savings referenced by Jennifer Dement in our last meeting. And the funny thing about that is my position is fully funded through the grant year. Upon looking at our grant budget, it had already been allocated. So I'm actually not laid off. I never should have gotten a notification saying that I was. The second part to our TRIO savings that she mentioned is our TRIO director, which is a grant required position. It's like the only grant required position. So I'm not exactly sure how the college plans to navigate around that situation. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware that the information that's coming in is not accurate. It is not truthful, and it's not being seen by the people that are talking to you. So thank you.
Suzanne Heddix, coordinator for Transiciones. Me llamo Susan, soy la coordinadora de Transiciones. First of all, I want to address what I heard tonight, and it's deeply, deeply emotional for me to hear this coming from the local college where I grew up. What we heard tonight is an investment in death services for communities that we are not supporting and that we are removing services from. So we are predicting, it sounds like, that many more people in our communities will pass in the coming years, and that at the same time, we will be pulling back community and DEI services to our students. And that is horrific. At the same time, these same communities are under attack by a government that does not see them and does not wish that they exist. Daily, I have students this year who have come in with impact from these things. And at the same time, we are removing the resources that connect them and help support them to finish this educational journey they have started to better their communities. And I wonder, are we truly applying an equity lens that we have on our webpage in how we're making these decisions? We have to ask these hard questions. Because if we're not serving all of our communities in this geographical place, then who are we truly serving? The cuts that we have that are part of this change include the watering down of the VP of DEI. I understand that that's combining two positions, but that really pulls away from the true work of that position when that position should be expanding to better meet the needs of our communities. At the same time, we are losing a significant amount of multilingual staff with these cuts and decades of relationship with Latinx communities at the same time that we're hoping to qualify for HSI. These are some issues that I hope as a board you can better lead us to resolve in the future. Thank you.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Scari. My name is Sarah Amon, and I am currently the AVID coordinator here at Mount Hood Community College. My face and name should be familiar to you as I've spoken at several board meetings and spoken to you during classified bargaining, and Dr. Scari, you and I have had many conversations. Our commencement ceremony was Saturday, and I know because I saw some of you there, dressed in your cap and gowns. I was in the gymnasium with our students. I am there with them as they're getting their last minute preparations, putting on hats, using the bathroom, getting Band-Aids. I passed out our AVID pins, which are pins that we give to all of our students who use the AVID Center. As students who don't have as much support or cultural capital or any experience around college, for many of them, it's the only pin that they get to put on their robes. And as one of my students said to me, I'm so happy you're here because you're the only adult here to represent me. I want you to keep that in mind because I know that the final vote on the proposed budget happens tonight. And whatever your conscience allows you to decide, I implore you to demand a more transparent budget process, one that includes full voice from the employees and from our students, because that has not happened. And lastly, I want to speak to you about an email that I sent each of you on Monday. It had specific concerns that was written by myself and I think at least 12 other employees, classified in PFTA, about false and misleading information shared at the April 29th budget meeting that justified the closing of AVID. Now, at the beginning of this meeting, Mr. Spear, you asked us to not direct any comment about specific individuals, but instead to address the board members outside of this room. I have done that individually to each of you, and I have not received a response. The information that was provided to you was negligent at best. It is incomplete, and it does not provide a full picture. I understand that our senior administrators cannot have the same understanding of the work that is done because of the role that they have. So then how can decisions be made without speaking to the individuals who do the work or from taking recommendations from middle management? And that was not done during this budget cut cycle either. So I ask you to please think of how you're going to respond to me, because you have a senior administrator giving false information at a board meeting, and that is not a good look for this college or for any of you. I hope that you all can make the right decision tonight. Thank you.
Guess it's just me. Oh, huh, my name's Dave.
Please go ahead when you're ready.
You ready, John?
No, you.
Good evening, board members and staff, classified and faculty, all. This evening, my name is Stella Foster. I'm the Multicultural Student Success Coordinator. I'm very, very proud to be working at Mahul Community College, close to 10 years. In this position, I have been supporting multicultural students. I am also the person that organize reports, and I look at 3,200 students per term. I review these students, I review groups, and then I build different groups. And then based on that, we look at different resources. We work with different departments. We work with analytics, intelligence. We work with all of those departments in addition to support all of those students by ethnic groups and very multicultural, very diverse. Today, I'm going to share with you data and information that is really important. And it's really, really important because I am the person who walk around hallways. I support also, we collaborate with Suzanne in transitions, making sure our students, multicultural students, build all of the resources that they need and they have. And I'm not also working here in Gresham. We're going to Portland. We walk around different locations for the college, and we have been doing it for so long. In addition to, we organize together different professional development activities and presentations, and we bring a lot of people from the community for all of those students, and they have all of this information, data and support data. Now, why this is so important? Because I want to make sure you know what is happening. We're talking about retention. And thanks to all of this work that we have been doing together, yes, we have really good news. Our multicultural students are being retained at a significantly higher rate. And I have this, thank you to my fantastic coworkers that we have been working together as a team, making sure we can actually support the students, and the data prove all of that. So the multicultural students are being retained as a very good, nice, higher rate. And then the overall institutional retention rate is 61%. The multicultural student retention rate is 72%. Absolutely amazing. And I want to say thank you so much. This represents an 11 percentage point increase in retention compared to the overall student population. Multicultural students are withdrawing at a lower rate. This represents an 11% point reduction in withdrawals compared to the institutional average. I want to make sure you know that, yes, I'm working with my heart. Yes, my coworkers are. We are supporting the students. We are with the students, for the students, because the students. I hope I did that right? I am telling you this because I'm here because I care. And I care about this specific budget. And I care about the college and the most important people around, which are our students. And I want to make sure you guys know this. There is a lot more data, a lot more information. I know I have John here, but I do want to share a lot more with you. And it's really important for us to make sure you are very well aware of what is happening and how important this information is for you to keep this situation, this budget, and making sure we all build the best for our college and our students. Thank you.
Hi, my name is John Hasegawa. I'm with the Mount Hood Faculty Association. I'm on the table team, so I'm just here to give you an update about where we're at in bargaining. So over the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've reached tentative agreements on a handful of articles, but approximately 1/3 of our contract remains open still. So we haven't reached an agreement on about 1/3. And a lot of that third are really our biggest issues that we are facing in front of us. And the college doesn't feel, to us, the college doesn't feel like to be in a hurry to wrap up this bargain. And it just seems has seemed like the pattern through the process. The Faculty Association would have loved to have completed the bargain by now. That was our slogan, settle by spring. And it just hasn't really worked out that way. And we were really trying the last couple of weeks to kind of get that over the line. And it just seemed apparent that it just didn't feel like interest in having that happen before we left on our summer break. So there won't be any bargaining over the summer because we are off contract. Almost all of our team is off contract over the summer. And it just makes me feel bad because this is time that we're spending on bargaining that I mean, I feel like I really need to be in the classroom and supporting my students, spending the energy there. I mean, no matter what else is going on, I always could be doing more to support them and helping them out in the studio. And that's pretty much the same thing for all of our people. So what does this mean? In the fall, that means your faculty is going to be coming back to work under an expired contract. That means they won't have a COLA increase at the beginning of fall term. That means they're going to be getting, due to inflation, less buying power, less wages. This is not going to be a great situation for us coming back, and the morale is not going to be great. They're not going to be happy when they come back in the fall. So this doesn't feel good, like the way how this has been progressing to us. So we just hope that the board, you can influence the bargaining team, or as a board, just hopefully we can get this wrapped up, because no one likes not like working without a contract, right? And we probably won't see much from us for the rest of the summer, but we'll be back in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you for those that provided public comments. With that, public comment is now closed. We'll now move to reports. Dr. Scar, do you have any correspondence to share?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Our first agenda item is financial third quarter update, and Jennifer DeMitt.
I recognize that sometimes that we have text that's hard to read, so I let you guys copy this. And you can use it as fast because it's very long. Okay, so well, not sharing yet. This is our third quarter update, and I tried to keep it relatively brief and to the point, given that it's been a long evening already, and I still have like 2 more presentations for you. So recognizing I may lose interest, but this is quarter 3. This information is actually through May because we pushed this meeting out, or this update out, a little bit. Big picture summary of where we are. Our current year performance is helping reduce pressure on our fund balance. So you can see 2% revenues are 2% over what we budgeted this year, and 3% over what our prior actual budget or prior actual revenues were. On the expense side, our expenses are 2% below budget, which is a good trend, but also want to note that they're 8% higher than they were last year. On our projected fund balance use, 4.3 million, which is a big number, but that's less than what we built into the budget for the current year. And then I'm going to talk a little bit too about what we're watching as we go into this next fiscal year. So overall, our financial position, it is better than what we budgeted. We budgeted a $7 million operating deficit, meaning we would spend $7 million more than we brought in revenue. So that, and this isn't necessarily a new update, but over the years, we've had higher tuition revenue. And so that deficit is only 4.3 million only. Revenues are above the plan, expenses are below the plan. Those are positive points. And we have a favorable operating outlook for the year, which reduces pressure on the fund balance, which helps us, as you know, going into the 26-27 budget, being able to keep that at that 10%. On the revenue side, as I mentioned, we're 2% above what we budgeted. The star of the show here has been tuition and fees. I mentioned that earlier at our TSCC hearing. We have really strong growth in tuition bearing enrollment. So we're seeing stronger spring term. Usually in spring term, we see a lot more drop off. So we have a lot stronger spring term enrollment than what we've seen in years past. Wonder if that might have, something to do with what was going on at other schools with enrollment moving over. We had very strong enrollment in our BAS program. So the Bachelor of Applied Science, if you recall, that's like a tuition surcharge that comes on. So the number of students enrolled in the second year was higher than what was projected in our original budget estimates from the department. And our international enrollment has grown. So despite everything that's going on at a federal level, we're seeing really strong enrollment in international. Property tax in line with budget, it's pretty predictable and governed by state law. State aid, so this is kind of one of those where to watch, we're below budget. I also mentioned this earlier, how we grow in relationship to the rest of the state, right? The pie is the same. We're all trying to get a piece of that pie. The average growth was 6% last year, and we only grew 4%. So we lost a little bit of our revenue, even though we grew. This year, looking at overall enrollment, tuition bearing and non-tuition, we're actually down 2.2%. So that doesn't bode well, but I don't think other schools are growing as strong this year either. Other revenue, so that's kind of the all else category, is coming in a little bit above budget. Interest earnings there continues to be strong. We have had that strong high interest rates on our local government investment pool. And then there's also lease and software entries that are here that are making this revenue look higher, but there's actually associated expenditures because of how we have to enter them for accounting purposes. On the expenditure side, we're 2% below budget. Typical, what we see every year. So we've kind of built this into our forecast. Most of this is concentrated in personnel services. 83% of our budget is personnel. So a 1% underspending in personnel equals a pretty significant amount. Again, we build that into our forecast. One of the things I'm keeping an eye on is our expenditure growth is 8% higher than last year. So while we're spending less than we budgeted, we're having some inflationary pressure on our expenses. And it's really across the board. I tried to narrow down, is it contracted services, is it utilities? It's really, there's some strong across the board. We are also seeing trends though, where we see 1 year, 2 or 3%, the next 8 to 12%, and then back to 2 or 3%. So I'm hoping that this might be a cyclical purchasing cycle as well. And that this next year we don't see, that it drops back down a little bit. But with inflation, I think we're all in a little unprecedented times right now. So we'll keep monitoring that as we go into 2027. And then just looking big picture risk outlook and what we're keeping an eye on. As I said, the overall enrollment's down 2.4%. So that's a little concerning from a state revenue perspective. There is a little bit of growth in our state formula. We're not going to get that money. So potentially that could reduce our state support further next year. It does encourage us to focus on some of those student support and success dollars that we can lock in, but that's less than 10% of the total state amount. Long-term outlook, we're still looking at a $2.6 million gap for 27-28. So, today we're talking about the 26-27 budget. We're looking in the forecast out to the next year. We're still having an operating deficit. Also, as I mentioned earlier tonight, we have this structural problem, right? If our expenses grow 7% a year, we can ask the state for 7%. And if they give it to us, that's awesome. Not a guarantee, but it's awesome. But that's only half of our revenue, right? And property tax can't grow 7% because by law it's limited to 3% unless there's new additions, which leaves tuition. And we know that we would have an access issue and it would be against our mission if we increase tuition by 7% every year. So this becomes a going forward, we need to look at how we increase revenue, reduce expenditures. It's not going to be solved permanently ever. So recognizing, and I think we'll talk more about that at the retreat, but we have to find a better way to evaluate and reallocate our expenditures. so that we're not all going through this every year. Recognizing that this isn't like a one-time thing, we have $100 million budget, and we need to figure out how to allocate it in a way that makes sense to everyone. So projecting that we're going to use $4.3 million in fund balance. We in the 26-27 budget, so the one that we'll be asking the board to adopt tonight, uses $3.5 million of fund balance. And then any further reductions in 27-28 will be smaller, and hopefully will help get us more into a adjustment phase and not budget reduction phase. So given those uncertainties, this is kind of, I mean, we still have 1 quarter left, a couple months of pay, balance of contract payments. So there's still some activity, but this is pretty solid. And then we won't have a final update for this fiscal year until we come back in the fall after we've closed out the fiscal year. Any questions?
Any questions for Jennifer? I don't have anything, Jennifer.
I have one, Andrew.
Go ahead, Larry.
Question, Jennifer. I know that some of the programs that are being proposed to be paused, or some of the changes with how we're going to do delivery of services, do we know if that is directly or indirectly related to some of the decline in enrollment? Or did we do analysis to analyze whether it be disruption of enrollment?
So the current year, the decline in enrollment is in non-credit classes. So college now, like classes offered in our high school, I think we know the narrative. I mean, there's some other reasons behind that, including less high school students. Apprenticeship programs, so that's, I think, more stemmed from the economy and how many jobs they're picking up. The apprentices, like they're not bringing on apprentices. So there's just a smaller pipeline. You look like you want to say something, but if you do, you should turn your mic on.
I was just going to add adult basic education. English is a second language. I think I've mentioned that before. We've seen significant drops in that, which has also contributed to our dropped enrollment.
So we're seeing strong growth in credit. So those the programs that the credit programs, tuition bearing, the traditional CTE transfer programs, we're still seeing growth in those.
Great.
And that's what you were highlighting, the TSCC response to, right? Yeah.
The other question I have is, and I think maybe to Lisa's point, the state is also not going to be reimbursing for a lot of different programs, right? That we've historically received funding from. Is that accurate or correct?
The developmental education programs, yes,
or others.
Yeah, it'll move to a co-requisite model. A worst case scenario, if you took all of that enrollment statewide out of the funding formula, we would actually be reimbursed for 100% of what we're teaching, because right now everybody's over the amount of reimbursable FTE. But in an ideal world, we're going to convert that enrollment into co-requisite enrollment, so that we're not losing those students. We're just offering those services in a different delivery model.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mohammed, did you have a question? No. Okay. Any other questions for Jennifer? All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. And at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a question before we
Sure.
move to that. I do want to, the goods and services contracts, I do have a question for Jennifer on that before we move to approve this. Thank you. Just curious, for the goods and services contracts, hoping to explain the $250,000 difference for Pave Connect and the separate line items of the $3 million. There's 2 Pave Connect line items.
I do not know the answer to that question. It Does it say what this or what it's for?
One says increase from 1,750,000 to 2 million, and then there's a $3 million award later down the line. Or maybe not award, but $3 million line item.
I didn't print out the entire packet. I was trying to save my printing for your handout. I can, if that is paving, I think, is it just split into like this year, what we're going to spend this year, and then what we're going to spend next year, is what my guess would be. But let me.
It's not broken down by year. It says 26, 27 fiscal year, unless the additional. Oh, you're right. Sorry, I misread that. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, because
yes,
especially usually does it on 2 separate resolutions, and I asked them just to consolidate everything into one resolution and just note that one's for what we were putting through to get through this year. So we're getting ready to start up paving with the empty parking lots, and then the rest is what we're planning on doing next year.
And then my follow-up question is this based on this next year's budget that the board is tentatively going to approve tonight or not? And if so, should this be reversed in order of operations?
I mean, some of it is based, the 25, 26 is for this year, and the 26, 27 is for next year. And if the board doesn't approve a budget before July 1, we can't spend anything.
Got it.
I mean, including salaries. So that has to happen.
Thank you.
I'll open it up for a motion to approve the consent agenda again.
I'm happy to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right. It's been moved. Second. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item is the grant exception for competitive bidding. Authorize the use of construction manager, general contractor, GMGC, alternative contracting methods for 2025 bond program projects. And I'll invite Jennifer back up to please present the resolution to grant exception for competitive bidding and authorize the use of construction manager, general contractor, alternative contracting method for the 25 bond program projects.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about this last month, and I want to just take a quick second and introduce Scott Rose. And hopefully he's not driving in his car, but he's joining us online. Oh, hi, Scott. Scott is with RNC Management Company, which is the group that we brought in to be the ownership project management. So we consulted before this presentation. I think I can do this, but he's here because he is absolutely the expert and has done this many, many times. So we are asking the board, sorry, I don't know why this doesn't like to turn, to approve the college using the construction manager, general contractor delivery method for our bond work packages. Doing this and lets us, the board approval will allow us to enable procurement, open an RFP so that we can solicit contractors to join us, and it keeps the overall bond schedule on track. So remember, we need to spend 85% of the funds within the first 3 years. The main idea behind it, CMGC, is to bring that contractor into the team at the beginning of the design process, right? So we don't have architects getting into the details with our stakeholders and then come up with these really grand plans and then bid it out and have the contractor be like, yeah, you can't afford any of this. We don't want to get there. So we want to partner with the contractor as we go. From a pre-construction phase, we will get what's called a guaranteed maximum price for the packages, and then we can start construction of the project, and having one contractor that can kind of juggle, given that we have a lot of really different things that are going to be happening on campus at the same time. So there is a findings of fact in the board resolution, like why we think it's a good idea to bring a construction manager, a general contractor on board. Like I mentioned, having somebody involved early, being able to manage costs, manage expectations, so we're not coming back at the end and value engineering projects, understanding that our campus is going to be occupied. We can't just shut down our nursing program for a term while we build a new lab, right? We have to like try to manage keeping things going across campus, that concurrent delivery, protect our schedule, and then also it'll help us ensure that we have local participation of contractors, which has been a goal with our bond. So we got, thank you, a couple questions from the board ahead of time. So have an opportunity to dig into that and try to respond to them. One of the questions was, what is the total anticipated bond program spend before we authorize this method? So as noted, if you totaled up, if you paid attention to the details and read the package, it's considerably less than, of course, I did not write the number down, but the amounts for each of the work packages in here are considerably less than our $145 million bond. So what percentage? What we're looking at is targeting 70% of each project cost for construction costs, and then the remaining 30% is those soft costs that include contingencies, project management, permitting and insurance, escalation cost. So even if you grossed the amount in these work packages up, it'd be about $109 million worth of projects. We have, again, $145 million bond, and a lot of those projects are happening outside of the CMGC. So not everything is going to fall under here. For example, our aquatics enclosure project, which is underway, hopefully will be done this fall soon. Paving, roofing, building enclosures, some of the, like there's the 1 million gallon water storage tank that's under building 17, like those type of things, we're not going to go through the CMGC. We're just going to handle that on our own or with RNC management's help. The next question is, when does the board see the selection and vote on contractor awards? So the plan here is that we're going to have an RFP process. RNC is putting that together for us now. We'll have a committee rank the proposals when we receive them, make a recommendation, and that recommendation will come back to the board because the board, as the local contract procurement board, has to approve anything over 150,000. So the board will be ultimately making the approval for that contract. And then there was a question about how are we going to enforce local workforce commitments. So like I said, when we were doing the bond campaign, we talked about how do we engage local. This is actually one of the things that really appealed to us with RNC management when we were selecting the project management owner rep, that they had a lot of experience and they did Centennial's bond and being able to keep, I mean, Centennial is a small district, so being able to get local participation was impressive. So we will write into each CMGC contract a requirement for structured local outreach. So they will be required to do the outreach, but the bids still have to come in through a traditional public procurement process with the lowest responsible and responsive bidder. But we'll look at like soliciting local trades. So things like having pre-bid outreach events. So I think there's one plan, and actually, you know what, Scott, do you want to address this? Because this is really your area of expertise, and I think I can try to repeat what I've heard you say, but I think you'd be great at explaining what your engagement plan is.
Certainly, I'm happy to do that. So thank you for having me here at the board meeting. So the CMGC process is one of the best ways to actually engage and hire local workforce, because you have more control over that because it's a more transparent process. In a traditional design bid build process, it's a bit of a blind date. You open up bids on some bid day and you get whoever's low and whatever subcontractors they've selected, and you don't have any say over that. So the purpose of this is to let the local subcontractor trades know what is happening, when it is happening, and the expected criteria from the college of what they will be providing. And I've seen this work very successfully in terms of not just picking materials that locals are certified to install, but also sizing packages so that they can bond and insure for that work. An example is we were looking at re-roofing on 4 different buildings at another educational facility. And the total of that roofing work was approximately $3 million. We had 7 roofers attending a standing room only invitation where we were talking about this ahead of time. And of those 7 roofers, I asked, with it being a $3 million value, how many of you cannot bid on it? And 5 of the 7 rose their hands because they could not insure or bond for that large of a project. So we asked, okay, if we break this out into multiple packages where no package is over $1 million, how many of you can bid on it? And all 7 raised their hand. So it's that kind of interaction and that kind of engagement that helps us to tailor the work to local contractors to make sure that we have maximum participation. So we'll do soliciting local trades by actually a requirement for the contractor to list before they put it out on the street. So the CMGC actually bids out to the trades, not the college. And so they will be required to solicit from at least 3 local contractors for each trade. They will have, before that ever goes out on the street, a pre-bid outreach event. They will have to publish the results and show us and prove to us that they did solicit from at least 3 local trade contractors for each trade. A separate but aligned with that, then we will facilitate 2 different outreach events in October of 26 and October of 27. And again, the purpose is to engage locals by working with the local Chamber of Commerce and other entities that track Association General Contractors, but other agencies that track and have a membership list by setting out individual invites to specific outreach events. We find that that works far more favorably than just an advertisement in the paper because they're getting a very targeted correspondence to them specifically about what they can expect. Many of them may be commercial contractors that have not worked on public procurement in the past. And as such, they now may not be familiar with prevailing wage or the insurance criteria or the bonding criteria. And the intent would be not only to share with them the projects, but also how they can compete and how they can be qualified ahead of the bidding process so that they have the best opportunity to participate. And so those types of items would be covered at that outreach, not just simply a schedule and scope of work. And those
Can I just,
yeah. Yes.
Scott, thank you for that feedback. This is Timur. Thank you for detailing those. It really seemed like a lot of best practices for doing the outreach. I just had a question for the solicit local trades, minimum of 3 local trade contractors. Is that requirement state law or is that a requirement in our RFP with the CMGC? Are we putting that requirement in there? Can you just elaborate on that?
Great. Yes, absolutely. I realize that would be a little confusing. Actually, state law requires that whenever we are soliciting quotes, not bids, but quotes, so it's a smaller dollar value, and typically that threshold is $250,000, we are required to go get 3 quotes. That's the state criteria. In our RFP, we would actually require the contractor that when they are soliciting, they need to solicit from at least 3 locals. They could solicit from 10 electricians, but at least 3 of them have to be local. So that's something we would put in our RFP. It's not a state criteria.
Okay. That's great to understand. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So path forward, tonight we're asking for approval. In late June, we will issue the RFP for a CMGC. The selection committee will evaluate over the summer, and then in early fall, we would bring awards back to the board for approval so that we can get started. So our recommendation is to approve using this contracting method, and happy to take any other questions.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Confirming the college has a relationships currently with RNC management or previously has had a relationship?
RNC management is under contract for us for a project management owner rep, and that went to the board in January, I believe.
Got it. Okay. So this is just a continuation of that relationship, I guess, in theory.
Yeah,
Or
that relationship is expected to last through 2028. So at least I think through the end of our 3-year construction period.
perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions for Jennifer?
I just had a comment. Just kind of for the board. I think just level setting with the board, I do feel like this is one of the most consequential decisions we'll probably make this decade of selecting the right person or organization to run this. And I just really love the opportunities to work with COVID certified firms, Black owned firms, women owned firms, and local firms. It really just seems like a lot of the best practices in terms of operationalizing equity into public contracting, spending our dollars with our values. And I love just breaking down into smaller chunks so that those contracting opportunities flow to more people and to organizations that are more likely to be owned by COVID firms. And having the contractor involved in the constructability reviews and having that alignment of interest is also really great. I do feel like this is definitely the right approach. It's strategic and the most appropriate approach for this type of work, and really reduces the risk and the contract management costs. So I'm excited to support it, and thank you for bringing this to our board.
No question. Just thank you, Jennifer, for the turnaround on this and for the thoughtful response. I echo Director Ender's comments as well. I think this is I'm very supportive of this. I think this is the right path for the college and where we're at, and will position us as we move forward.
I just had one practical question, Jennifer. I think it was on page or slide 4. You were referencing the requirements and the budgeted amounts, and then as to who the GMGC would be able to, they would set a cap on the project bid. If the project goes over, is the GMGC on the hook for that?
The guaranteed maximum
Yeah.
price.
Yes.
Scott, do you want? Yes. I mean, my understanding is with the guaranteed maximum price that they can't go over that. Is that right? Is that really
correct? A guaranteed maximum price will be itemized for us to make sure that everything is incorporated, and then that GMP or guaranteed maximum price then is established as part of their contract. And then yes, they can't go over that unless the college adds scope. If we say, let's go to a metal roof instead of a multi-ply roof. Well, that's a change in the design and change in scope, and as such, they would be entitled to a change order. But once the design is established and they establish a GMP, then yes, they can't go over that.
I guess my question was on like cost overages and that sort of financial risk. Is the risk on the GMGC if a project does go over budget in actuals?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the risk is on the CMGC,
Okay.
But within that GMP, there is a negotiated contingency. That contingency is only used at the college's approval. So it's not the contractor's contingency, but it's incorporated within the GMP. And that's to insulate from discovered conditions and the like. But yes.
Okay, that's the breakout of the 70% for design and construction and 30% for soft costs and contingency project management.
Well, the CMGC contingency is included in that 70%.
Oh, gotcha.
It's
Okay.
Yes, it is.
That's in that part. The rest of it is like our legal costs, our permitting costs, our
And
fees
for
costs.
contingency in the 30.
Yeah,
so-
contingency for like our contingency.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Our contingency may be for soft grounds. It may be for discovered items inside walls, above roofs, those kinds of things. Those are project contingencies outside of what the CMGC can anticipate. And the $109 million is our construction budget, not the GMP yet. It's a guide for the college administration and RNC management that as the design progresses, we're always checking it against our budget. In this case, the $109 million. And we get to a point where the contractor says, yes, I will now adopt that as my GMP. So yes. So it starts out as our budget becomes our GMP. But yes.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
our contingency would be for like if we increase scope. So if we find out that, we were going to fill the million-gallon storage water tank, water pool underneath building 17, and there was some other seismic issue that was completely an unknown, then like we might have to dip into our contingency to increase the scope.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Any other questions for Jennifer or Scott?
Andrew,
Yes, Larry.
ready to move?
Yeah, may I have a motion to approve grant exception for competitive bidding authorization of the construction manager general contractor alternative contracting method for the 2025 bond program projects?
So moved.
Or second?
Moved by Larry, seconded by Will. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move to consideration to adopt and make appropriations for the fiscal year 26-27 budget. And I'd like to invite Jennifer to make that presentation and present the resolution to adopt and make appropriations for that fiscal year.
I'll try. Make this a little more, oh, okay. So this is the the budget as approved by the budget committee in April. The total sum of all funds is $383,947,386. And if you look at page 2 of the resolution, which I know I'm going to have to zoom out. So this goes through and itemizes each fund by program area. So you can see the general fund at 98 million, and then all other funds, and then the total is at the right, that 383 million, and then unappropriated fund balance and contingency are those amounts on those bottom 2 lines there. So there aren't any changes from what was approved by the budget committee, and happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions for Jennifer? All right. Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the consideration of the resolution to adopt and make appropriations for fiscal year 26-27 budget?
Okay.
It's been moved by Mohammed. May I have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Timur. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right. I just want to acknowledge some of the comments, and given that I have not replied to emails, but I have read them, people deserve to hear kind of where I stand and my reasoning on that. So just want to take this opportunity. This has been my first year on the board, first 6 months. And so I have really taken the time to learn this process as best as I can while hearing all of the differing viewpoints, which is why I was appointed to this position. I share the thoughts of Larry from earlier in this budget process that there is a desire to have a more transparent process with more options. And I will be definitely advocating for that in the coming year. And I have also watched carefully Portland City Council how they have done their budget and the amendments that those elected officials have introduced through that process. And that has also given me greater awareness of the powers and levers of this role, which I did not know a couple of months ago. And then on balance, I will be voting for this budget because I support the effort by the administration to balance chopping from the top with frontline positions. And going forward, I would continue to expect that or greater from in terms of how those cuts are being balanced, which I've made clear to President Scari. And then the other reason I am supporting this budget is because I do believe that the hiring of the new vice president position for student services and equity will be a strong net benefit for operationalizing equity, more so than it is how it's structured today. So I understand everyone may not agree, but I just felt that it is my duty to kind of explain my thoughts on that. So thank you for the opportunity, and I will yield the floor.
Mohammed, I see your hand up.
Thanks, Andrew. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. That was beautifully said, Timur. I want to echo what Timur said, and us being the two newly appointed trustees, it was obviously a serious responsibility on our part to consider this as if we had been on the board for years. I want to start off by thanking the staff, the management team, leadership, Dr. Scari, for all the work done to mitigate the concerns, issues that we brought forth. And I want to thank everybody who spoke to us in person or sent us emails or approached us at events or any venue to express your concern or your questions about this budget and programs being impacted. I do want to emphasize what Timur said is that I think the board, I hope I'm speaking for the board, where you unanimously want to advocate for a process to review the process as a whole, the timeline, the way we approach these conversations. So I'm looking forward to that work with my colleagues. And I as well will be voting to move this forward because so much work has been done and we have to, college business is going to be impacted if this is delayed further or any changes that can impact student needs. So but I do look forward to working with everyone, especially on the board, to look at this again for next time and make sure that we have addressed the things that were brought to our attention this cycle. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mohammed. Larry, or did you have your hand up, Larry?
I did, but I'm all I'm gonna gather my thoughts.
Okay. Will?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone involved in this process from the very beginning all the way till now. Everyone who's been thoughtful, a thought partner in this process. While I don't echo. I hear the sentiments from my colleagues. I still don't think this process centered those most impacted by our budget decisions. And I expect moving forward that this process be different and actually center those most impacted by our decisions holistically, not just one or two things. And for those reasons, I will be a hard no tonight.
Shatoya?
I've been a part of this process for 4 years now. I've seen very kind of like the go along to get along. And within this current process, it definitely highlighted a lot of the process has been the process, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we can't change or evolve in the approach moving forward. And so I will be a strong advocate of something that someone spoke of is encouraging to reveal what's behind the curtain in order for us to address a lot of the systematic changes and move further in alignment with what the mission actually is. I've done a lot of the research that a lot of folks who have spoke about behind the scenes. I'm very quiet. However, I'm a watcher of people. I listen before I respond. So I will vote the way that you all will see. And I am going to, alongside Will, of heavily advocating for a better and a transparent process. Oh, I'm curious if we're going to do a roll call or are we going to do
Yes,
roll call? All right.
Larry?
Thanks, Andrew. I'll be brief. I have been a part of the budget processes at the local or community college, state, or national levels since I was a student at Mount Hood in 2009. And this process has been unlike any process. I think early on when we were talking about amendments and kind of the will of where our board was at, it's been all over the place. I respect my colleagues tremendously. My vote tonight will be based on some new information that I've gathered. The comments that we received from community members and from students was incredibly compelling. But what's been most compelling for me in the last week is hearing from industry. I am particularly concerned about what the long-term trajectory of the college is related to how we interact with industry. We serve students. We also work on a bigger ecosystem that's incredibly important. And how we make decisions on things I think is important as it has a rippling effect across the board. So I think American politics is the only place on the earth where you're not allowed to change your mind after you've gotten new information. I'm not that arrogant, and I will be a no tonight.
All right. With that, I'm trying to see if Diane is on the camera. Diane, if you can hear me, could you get to your computer, please?
Andrew, do you need to take a break?
Yeah, well, we need Diane to be here for the roll call vote.
Sounds like it.
So let's take a quick 5-minute break and I'll work to connect with Diane to get her back on. We'll reconvene at 9:05. Okay, thank you. We are back. Larry, you there?
He was there just a second ago.
All right. Okay. We are all back and Roxanne is here. Roxanne, would you please call a roll call vote? Diane, did you hear Roxanne?
No, I did not.
Oh, we're calling a roll call vote, and she
called
just
me?
called your name.
I vote aye. Yes. And I fully understand all of the concerns, but it's a tough decision, but I'm voting aye.
Teamer Ender,
Aye.
Shatoya Bentley,
Nay.
Mohammed Ali Ajuri,
Aye.
Larry Morgan,
No.
Andrew Spear,
Aye.
Will Miller.
No.
Motion carries with a 4-3 vote. Thank you. Next, we're moving to the resolution imposing and categorizing taxes. And I'd like to invite Jennifer back up to make that presentation.
Really need to excuse myself because I need medication. So
We,
you can.
will you be back in a minute, Diane? We have one more vote.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I will be quick with this. So this is our resolution imposing and categorizing taxes. This is required by law for us to impose our permanent tax rate, which is 0.4917 cents per thousand of assessed value. And it's set by law. We can't actually change that to anything. And then the other one is our general obligation debt service fund. So this assesses $13,005,789 to pay our general obligation bond 2025 debt. So my recommendation is to adopt the above resolution as presented, and I'm happy to take questions.
Are there any questions for Jennifer?
I move that we approve.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Roxanne, will you please call roll?
Diane Noriega,
Aye.
Timur Ender,
Aye.
Shatoya Bentley,
Yes.
Mohammed Ali Ajuri,
Aye.
Larry Morgan,
Aye.
Andrew Spear,
Aye.
and Will Miller.
Aye.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Motion carries.
Okay.
Our last action item of the night is President's goals, and I'd like to invite Dr. Skari to present her goals for 2026, 2027 as amended.
Thank you. Based on your feedback at our last meeting, I made some edits to the goals in the packet. I highlighted the areas in red. I think I captured there was some interest in the bond. There was some, I'm sorry, I'm doing this off the top of my head. I apologize. Anyway, there's red. So I will take any questions you might have.
The goals being in the board packet for reference, are there any questions based on those changes presented by Lisa? I just want to say thank you to the board for providing that feedback to Lisa. I think it's helpful as we go on year to year to have that engagement with setting the goals and then, refining them because, right, we're in the current process now of evaluating her performance from this current year as we end it. And so it's just helpful for the board's engagement. So thank you for providing those comments and thank you to Lisa for making those edits.
I want to echo that. Thank you for taking my comments into consideration.
Since there are no other questions, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the president's goals for 26-27.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we'll move to reviewing the upcoming agenda for July, and Roxanne put that up on the screen. And then then the next item that we'll look at is the 2026-2027 board calendar, which should be in the board meeting packet, or excuse me, should be in our packet in front of us here. In the binder, I think on the right-hand side. Yes. Yeah, we have for July, we have the regular meeting and then we have a retreat, but this is only the agenda for that regular meeting. And since this meeting will butt up with our retreat, it's really pretty centered around just the elections of the officers for the upcoming year. Any questions or feedback on this agenda?
Just a question. So I see that the meeting is at 8 a.m. and then it goes for a certain amount of time, like we're budgeting 2 hours. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, if folks online, this board meeting would be starting at 8 a.m. and then we would guess it'd last about an hour, maybe less, and then we'd move into the retreat that would go from 9 to 1.
Okay, just to clarify, on this board calendar, it says regular meeting at 9 a.m. And should that be retreat? Okay. Okay.
We've got some external folks joining us and we're trying to accommodate their schedules. And so
Okay.
that's what's resulted in substitution.
Okay. No, yeah, no worries, no worries. I was just trying to understand. I just want to make sure I didn't miss a distinction between board meeting and regular meeting, because those are both used on this. And is that are those intended to be the same thing?
It should be.
Okay. Okay. Okay, no worries.
Oh,
I just want to make sure I didn't misunderstand something. Okay.
You just call, yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay. And again, this is really just to get like feedback like that or any other inconsistencies or just clarifications. We're not necessarily approving this calendar, right?
Not yet put it on our calendars.
Yeah, we've not approved it.
Got it. Okay.
Let us know if you have any comments.
And is that all we needed to cover on this one, Roxanne, just to kind of make people aware and let them know if there's any issues? Okay. Yeah, and so if you find anything that's an issue or a conflict, I think Lisa and Roxanne know, and we can see if there's opportunity to move it or change anything. But I think this follows our cadence generally for the first and third weeks of study sessions and regular meetings. Okay. Any other questions on the calendar before we move on?
I was going to make a comment. Just given the previous agenda item related to budget, maybe at the board retreat, we can talk about how specifically we want to change that. And because this would be the time to put those dates into here. So from the beginning, building out a more robust and intentional process. So that would inform this.
Oh, to include any budget process items that might be date related
Yeah.
onto the.
Yeah, just talking about the July retreat.
Yeah, reverse engineering the process, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Just kind of flagging that.
Understood. I think, well, one thought, there kind of needs to be a published board calendar And so I don't know if it's appropriate to put like all of nuanced dates on that calendar that might pertain to like internal processes around the budget, but we could produce like a separate side calendar. You know what I mean? I think that's just something for Lisa and
Okay.
Roxanne to make sure we're complying with like our
Yeah.
normal board calendar,
Okay.
what's published.
I think y'all got the intent of my comment.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I just want to. Okay. Next we'll move to board member reports, and if you have any comments or updates related to your board committee assignments, please make those. And those board committee assignments are Budget and Finance Committee, Advocacy Committee, Audit Committee, Head Start, Liaison, Foundation, Liaison, OCCA, and OSBA. And so with that, I'll open the floor up for any updates.
I will say happy Juneteenth to everyone. Along with, I was at a tax increment finance committee last week, I believe so, and we got a snapshot of what the city of Portland, which is our area, the East 205, so it's from 122nd all the way out to Centennial area. And within those areas, it showed that there's a lot of folks who live within that area that has some form of college, however, would like to explore some form of job within this area. So I just wanted to raise that awareness to us of like, there is still that cluster of people who have went to college, most likely Mount Hood, and didn't fully complete. However, is still seeking for better income or better job opportunities. So something that we might could explore navigating how could we maximize jobs and job security within our area. So that was just something to highlight, especially how the median income is within 48,000 in that area, and housing ownership is very low. But childcare was one of the top things that folks really would like, which I know we have our preschool programs and things like that. So definitely something to explore as far as data and how we can continue meeting the need.
Thank you. Will?
Yeah, I had the honor of attending the First Nations Student Union Indigenous Excellence Ceremony with Dr. Scari. That was a really great time to be in community with folks. And then just want to thank everyone involved in the commencement ceremony, Dr. Red, Dr. Scari, and really everyone else. It was a really beautiful time and just great celebratory moment.
Thank you, Will.
Just wanted to share that Barney's Bash was excellent and outstanding production value. Really enjoyed that and continue to be amazed by Mount Hood Community College's kind of event production capacity. So really impressive. So congrats and thank you to everyone that was involved.
Thank you. Mohammed, anything from you?
No updates this time. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Just quickly for me, today I had my last formal obligation as OCCA president, board president, which was the executive committee meeting, but less about that and me, but more about what was shared during that meeting that I wanted to just highlight for us here. The HEC's recommended budget for community colleges is coming in much higher than expected. That will be recommended to the governor. And I don't remember the percentage, Lisa. Was it 17.8% increase from current service levels. However, what was shared on the call that I think is relevant and will be playing to the politics of the budget setting next year, K through 12 is experiencing huge financial issues across the board in every district or just across the state. And so no one is expecting within OCCA and I think within the president's that anything around HEC's recommended budget will be adopted or recommended by the governor. And so I just think it's something that we need to be tracking and mindful of, and speaks to like our own budget setting process. So I just say that because I think this budget season has been hard, but I think it will be harder. And so to the extent that you have identified issues with the process, we need to know what those issues are so that we can create and backfill processes that will create the transparency you're looking for. And I just want to remind us that if we do not pass a budget, the college cannot issue funds. And so if we had not passed the budget tonight, we would have had to have gone back to TSCC and gotten another review prior to the end of this month, and then reconvene before June 30 to also approve that budget as recommended by TSCC. So those are the consequences, and I just remind us of that and to encourage everyone to lean into and clearly identify what areas of budget process and transparency that you need to see adopted by the administration for us to have clarity on budget processes going forward and how we approve those. So just please think about that, and please get that information in as you have it. Will?
Yeah, just one more thing. Thank you, Andrew. Also, happy Pride. And I had the honor of standing with Representative Hartman today with the governor as the governor signed cancer screening bill, which is also why I'm wearing teal. It's Cancer Survivor Month. So shout out to Representative Hartman for that. And yeah, it's been about community this month.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move to closing reports from our advisory representatives. And just a reminder to please keep your comments to policy and program matters only. And we look forward to hearing your reports. And no ASMHCC, right? So no ASMHCC this month. And Sarah Williams for full-time faculty.
John provided you with a bargaining update. I echo his disappointment that the administration team did not hold the priority to settle a new contract prior to its expiration. It is truly unfortunate that we will start fall term in our 60th anniversary year with about 15 days left in a bargaining timeline. You heard clearly the damage that is being done to our students and community with the budget choices that you have just approved. The frontline workers and the faculty with the most knowledge of our students' experience and realities were not included in these budget decisions. Effectively, this means these are poorly informed choices. When you incorporate the semi-optimistic financial report you just heard from Jennifer, I am still sitting with the honest question: why did we make these choices? With your vote, you have chosen to move forward. But we will continue to deal with the impacts of these choices to our students and community. I am disappointed in your decision today, but I am more disappointed that the administration has put us in this position. I have nothing more for today.
Corey, for CEA.
Once again, finding myself echoing my esteemed colleagues' statements. I won't rehash it, but disappointment feels like a little bit too small of a word. And one of the consequences of these decisions will be a generation of damage to our employees and groups here on campus. I've been through this before. I've helped employees through it before. It's never easy. I know I work with some of the most capable and resilient employees I know. But the sting doesn't just fade away. So I hear a demand for a better process, a better outcome. I reaffirm my commitment and partnership that I will commit to any form of shared governance, conversation, whatever we can do to avoid this or better make decisions in the future. And so I'm going to leave that piece there. The thing I really want to talk about is the real reason why public safety is here tonight. So if I could have Corporal Guella come in just briefly. This June 3rd, Samira Guella was one of our 3 recipients for our outstanding support staff, along with Nikki Miller and Rochelle Ham. They were nominated by their colleagues and confirmed. The response is overwhelming and surprises virtually nobody on campus that these 3 were chosen. Samir started with us in 2010. He began his full-time employment here in 2011. He worked in facilities and continued to go to school here, earning, I believe, a degree in criminal justice. And that seems to have worked out for him pretty well so far. And it's really worked out for us as well. Rochelle Ham has worked with us since 2004. She was the initial admin in science when I first started here. She's now our administrative assistant over at HPE and athletics. If you had the privilege of being here when Kim Hyatt was speaking about our athletic students, each and every one of them has Rochelle's hand guiding them through our processes in our community. Nikki Miller works as an academic services specialist in the Academic Advising Center, but she's also worked with our geology department, our science department. She's tutored, she's taught classes for ABE, GED. And so I don't think I could describe any one single group that she's had a hand in helping here, because she's had a hand in helping so many. So these are truly outstanding individuals. I'm proud to represent them, and even greater to know them as friends and colleagues. So if you'd please offer a hand up for Samir and our other colleagues.
Thank you, Corey. Marilyn, would you like to go for part-time?
You bet. So may I say congratulations? I think, Corey, you said Samir, Rochelle, and Nikki, correct?
Yes.
Okay, congratulations to all of them. Nikki actually served as a tutor in my GED classroom for a while, so I know her firsthand, and Samir has helped me get into bathrooms whenever I've been working here on the weekend. So, and other things as well, of course. Good people. We have good people here. So I want to start off by saying I appreciate each of the hearts of each of the board members. And I'm saying that sincerely. I believe the voices that you've heard from employees and students have touched your hearts. And there's no but that's going to come with it. It's just, I appreciate that. Oh, I lied, because the next word that's coming out of my mouth is but. So sorry about that. I didn't have it all written down word for word. But the but's going to come in a minute. I heard at this meeting, but at the others that I've attended as well, a lot of enthusiasm from employees for helping our MHCC be successful, and for helping students meet their needs and their goals. I also heard them talking about the importance of having their voices heard and being included in the process. And I believe everyone in that room and in these virtual rooms that we're sitting in, Tina, Mohammed, and I think we all believe in that. And as an educator who's taught, over 50 years, I believe that there's always room for improvement. I know myself, I have room for improvement. We have an opportunity, and I'm going to ask you to do what you can to do this. We've heard from Jennifer information about enrollment numbers and how though, even though we had, I think she said about a 4% increase in enrollment, it's compared with the other 16 institutions. So it wasn't high enough. We ended up losing some money. So my request is that we focus on, and there can be many things we focus on, but one of the things we focus on is increasing enrollment. I think we heard, I think it was you, Shatoya, who mentioned about the numbers of people who have started degrees, have had some college experience, but haven't necessarily finished their degrees. I believe there are lots of opportunities for connecting people with the excellent programs that we have. I want to let you know that when I teach, and I'm honestly, I'm, almost retired. I just teach one term a year, but when I teach, it's in the evening. So when I go out, when I arrive about 5-ish, and I look at the parking lots, there are some students. I mean, there's some cars there. But when when I think about how many cars there could be in the parking lots, we're missing out. I believe we're missing out on evening classes. When I go in and work on a Saturday, unless there's an event happening in the one of the auditoriums, there are a lot of empty spaces. And to me, that just is, we have an opportunity to increase enrollment. I want to let some of you, I think most of you probably weren't here whenever the particular president I'm thinking of mentioned that there was a goal to have students be able to get an entire associate's degree by only attending evenings and weekends. I'm not pushing that approach. I'm just letting you know that was someone's idea. I want to encourage you as a board. I want to encourage Dr. Scari and your administration to identify ways to increase enrollment. We can do it. That's it from me.
Thank you.
You bet.
Next up is the executive leadership reports, and executive leadership team has included their monthly division reports in the board packet, and then we'd like to offer them an opportunity to give any updates verbally if they have any since their report was written, and student development. All right. Instruction.
Nothing to add.
Thank you. Administrative services. Thank you. Advancement. All right. Thank you. Next up is President's Report. Dr. Scari.
Yeah, considering the time, I will be brief, but I did want to let the board know last Friday, we had the Legislative Financial Office and Department of Administrative Services here for a 3-hour tour, talking both about looking at some of the projects we've done with capital money and state funding, but also trying to understand a little bit more of what makes Mount Hood unique, but also how that fits into the overall budget picture and things for them to think about. We were joined by Abby Lee, which was wonderful because I heard the LFO person actually give her some pointers on things that she should include next time she's in front of the higher ed budget. So, but one of the interesting things in prepping for it, I really wanted, into that what makes us unique. A couple of years ago, I had looked and we were on a percentage basis, had the second highest percentage of students enrolled in CTE courses. And so I did another look to see where we were. And as of 24-25, we are now the highest percentage of students that are enrolled in CTE programs. Just to give you perspective, we're at 28%. PCC is at 12% and Clackamas is at 16%. So if we want to talk about how we're the career college, we own that. Now, the other thing we do realize is those are incredibly important programs. They have good wages. They also are more expensive because it takes a lot more to run a nursing class than it does a lecture class. And so that's one of the things we constantly try to do is figure out how is that balance in what we offer and what we know our community needs. How do we offer it and figure out how to fund it? Now, I'm not suggesting in any means that we step away from that CTE area because I do think that is our strength and it's what our community needs. But we need to be mindful of the choices we're making. And unfortunately, everything we do has a trade-off. And so what are the trade-offs we're willing to make? But pretty cool. Anyway, and thank you all for participating in commencement. As I said, always my favorite day of the year. That feeling of excitement and pride, and then you see all the posts from everyone that you didn't even realize they had kids graduating, makes you feel good and sends you on a positive note for a while. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. All right. With that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're adjourned.